We went to St Mary's School, and those days the ordinary schools went up to grade 8, which is Form 2 now, and we had to go for our merit. If you got your merit those days, you could get a job at a post office or a bank or something, providing you're good at mathematics. But us boys, there was a few of us boys in the class, and we had a sister there, Sister Amar. Now she was a saint as far as I was concerned. She had 4 grades to teach, and about 6 weeks before we went for our merit, I don't know what I'm going to do with you boys. You're absolutely hopeless. So she said, right, every Saturday morning from 9 o'clock till 11, special tuition for you fellas. So we went in, and grade 7 were much smarter than us, just some smart people in grade 7. A couple of them turned out lawyers and all. Anyhow, we went and sat for our merit up at the North School under government supervision. A government inspector come round, and we all passed. Anyhow, I went up the convent. The old man sent me to the convent. He couldn't afford, but he let me go there for 12 months. You had to pay to go there. There was about 40 there in the one room, mostly girls. 4 boys walk into the room, and they're all talking in French and rubbish and hell out of us. Because it was mainly a girls' school, you see. And they were taught to be ladies and conduct themselves properly, all that. And we had all the rest of it, and we learned French. So anyhow, I was there for 12 months. Anyhow, Sister Amar went, and she was down the other school, and I struck her one day near the end of the term. And I said, Sister, how did grade 7 go? No, much smarter than us. They'd go all right, wouldn't they, if they're merit? Oh, no, she said, some of them failed, Keith. Well, I said, I'm surprised at that. I said, they were a lot smarter than we. Yes, Keith, but they didn't work. She said, whatever you do, you've got to work. The old man said, well, you'll have to get a job. I can't afford to send you to school. So Mum taught me to cook when I was at home, because I was the eldest of 5 boys. And when she went into hospital with having her last baby, Gary, I stayed home and looked after Graham. He was 2. I got the old man to work and my 2 brothers to work, and did the housework for a couple of weeks. Women stayed in the hospital about 2 weeks those days until she come home and did that. She taught me to do housework and cooking. So when I went down here, my father took me down to Chapman Brothers. They had taken over Rasmussen's business. Hilary Chapman was the pastry cook, and Tom Chapman was his brother. He was the baker. And Hilary had been a prisoner of war, captured in the Western Desert by a German tank, 6 of them on patrol. They had to give in or they got wiped out. They were shipped to Italy, and he said, when we were in the prisoner of war camp, he said, we went crook about Bully. He said, it was like ham when we were over there, we were half starving. Anyhow, he escaped to Switzerland and got through the Alps, and it was a neutral country, and he stayed there and worked as a baker. But he said he was weak, he could only pick up 50 pounds of flour, and he stayed there till the war ended and come home. And then he took on the business with his brother Tom. But he was tight and he was hard. He was the 13th child in 14 children, Hilary, and he would have had to battle. And he made you, if he caught you wasting anything. Anyhow, I got $2.30 a week for 44 hours. That was my wages. I had to work 4 hours Saturday morning. Then he said, Mac, the bread carter won't do Nord Hill. He said he's got too many to do. Will you do it on the bike? I said, all right. I did 15 houses at 2 and 6 a day. And then I pushed the bike out to Harcourt, 7 miles out and 7 miles back, and picked fruit. When it was in season, got £3. That was good. I started knocking around with me mates and went to school with. There were 7 of us. And we had, Cartwright's had a bottle yard where Prince's Plumbing is. And we had the little brick place on the corner, and that was our club rooms. When somebody had a birthday, we got a 9-gallon of beer. We had a party there. But we go and see the police, and the police said, right, boys, you can have it, but if you come up near the bloody dance, inside you go. So anyhow, we'd have that, and we'd have our party, and Laurie, his mother would bring us out, Laurie Cartwright, she had the bottle yard there. She used to buy bottles. And she'd bring out supper for us at about 11 o'clock, and we had our barrel, and that's how it went. But of course, those days, the Castlemaine dance had 600 young people in that dance hall. and they used to be pretty well behaved. They get home about 12 o'clock, they'd close. By 1 o'clock, Dick Fox opened up his cafe. You go there and get coffee or whatever you wanted.
Is that the
And those days, yeah, that was where the old colour patch was, yeah. And we used to do that, and then the police would make sure you went home. 2 policemen on foot, great big fellas. And the only trouble is when the Bendigo blokes come down chasing the girls, there usually was a fight. And they'd get them and put them inside for the night, fine them £1, just as everyone was coming out of the Catholic Church. So there's one, he's been in bed, he's been in all night. Nice and embarrassed. He'd be sober by then. There was a bloke going home one night, and it was cold and wet. And he'd had a few drinks in, 6 o'clock closing, and he's walking up past the police station. One of the big policemen was standing out. I won't say who he was. "Fair cargo on tonight, Mr. So-and-so." He was a bit wobbly, see. He put the white line in. "I think you better walk that white line." He was about, "Oh, we'll have to put you inside for a little while." Put him in. Anyhow, he was there for a while, and they come in. "There's a barrow here, Mr. So-and-so, and there's some wood down the wood heap. Would you mind going down getting some for our open fire?" It was half raining and it was cold. So he went round, he brought it back. "Good," he said, "you can go home now." I want to show him again his wood. The 6 police and Sergeant Armstrong, and by hell, they'd done a good job. They kept everything quiet. They had a job on the side and all, I think, but I don't know anything about that. But they'd done a good job. But of course, times had changed, you know. So I knew Virgie's people. I knew her mother. Actually, Sue was a real character. She lived till she was 100. She was a real character, Sue. She used to go to the dances and all sorts of things. They used to go dancing, and they used to have a do out at their house. They lived in a little house between Guildford and Warren, a little old weatherboard place. She had it lovely inside. And our Virgie's a nursing sister. She trained here. She did double certificate sister. She did midwifery. And she was working at Heidelberg looking after soldiers when I met her. Anyhow, I was over the Castlemaine show this day, and she was up, a friend come up with her from New Zealand, Elaine Robbins. She was over there nursing too. So anyhow, she wanted to go up in the Ferris wheel, and her friend wouldn't go up. She didn't like heights. She wouldn't go up on it. So I came along. Oh, geez, that was an expensive ride. So ever I had one. Oh, God. Anyhow, I went up with her and took her for a ride, and then I finished up. I took her for I said, "What are you doing Sunday?" I said, "Look, I'll tell you what, if you've got nothing to do, I'll come out and pick you up and take you down to the Macedon flower show. You know, where they have all the gardens open." Of course, she loved that. That was lovely. So I took her down there. We went all around there. Then I took her to the log cabin in the Black Forest. That got burnt down. And we went and had tea there. And when we got home, we were running late, and the father blasted her. I said, "Where the hell you been? You're supposed to be home." So he told her off. And anyhow, we finished up art writing to her. She's working down Heidelberg. I started writing to her, and we finished up. We got engaged in 6 months. We were married in 12 months. Yeah, we had a great wedding. I got all the photos and that there. I showed you those, didn't I? Yeah. And we're married ever since. We've got 6 children and 9 grandkids now. I put an oven in, I started making pies. So I started selling pies, and then I decided I'd have a go at a hotel. So I bought the Newstead pub, $60,000. So I had to sell my house over in Nord Hill. So I got $25,000 for that, and I put $30,000 down, and I borrowed the rest off the bank. I went into the pub. So I was in there for 4 years. They bought 0.05 in. I pulled more beer there than anybody else, 7.2 18s, which was a lot of beer for a small pub. But they had to drive to my pub, and when the 0.05 came in, they started pulling them up. So I sold, and I got 120 grand for it. So I made 60,000 profit. No tax, because those days you didn't have to pay capital gains tax. So anyhow, I finished up then. Then I came back here, and I worked down at Kyneton. The only time I worked for anyone since I was got married. For 3 months. They had a chap down there working for him, was in charge, and the chap that run the bakery and that he knew nothing about the game. And this fella, he was bad news. If he had a good day, he made sure he had a crook one next. He was terrible. And then he was crooked on me because I used to get there and get stuck into it and do a bit of work. So the bloke said, I've got to put you off. Norm doesn't want you here. I said, all right. So I went and got off, and I went up to Julie. She had the little pie shop up there. She'd bought it, where I am now, Julie, and she couldn't handle the heavy work with the pastry. She was only small, and she had a wind-up machine, and it was terribly hard work for her. And she said, I want to sell it. Kashakas owned it. He owned that. He owned the shop next door and upstairs and a little place at the back. And Kashakas owned it. And I bought it off for $17,000 a lease. Anyhow, I finished up the other place down there where I had it. Anne Gaves leased that off me, and they put a hot bread shop in from Bendigo. Anyhow, I finished up. I went in there, and eventually Kashakas owned that. Old George Kashakas, he was a fruity. He owned half the town years ago. He had about 40 houses around the town, the old fella. Old Greek chap, something like Peter was. He was the same. And Harry, they made money out of fruit and vegetables. Anyhow, I bought that, and I stayed in that for some time, and I finished up. I bought that. Kashakas wanted to sell it. He was going to a news agency, and he wanted all the money he could get because it cost a lot of money. $110,000 I paid him, so I paid it. Then, what's her name? Anne Gaves got out of that other place down there, and Stuart Stoneman wanted to buy a bit of land out at the back because he wanted to put toilets in there. The health department got on to him, he had to have toilets. No, I said, but I'll tell you what I'll do. You buy the whole damn lot. I said, I'll sell you that too. No. So, was Laurie Cartwright. We used to call him Bubby. He had a little bubby face. He was a mechanic. Brian Bogue. Brian wasn't always with us. He went to Melbourne. He's a hairdresser. But he was in the gang. Ian Robertson, his best man, he didn't go on the trip with us. Those two didn't go, but the rest, Ken Brady did. Bobby Welch, Charlie Farrell, Ronnie Dale, and Johnny Gibbs.
And which were the ones that played in the band at the town hall?
Yeah, that was Brian. He played with the Langdon band. The boy, Reg Langdon, had the garage next to the Criterion Hotel. They used to sell English cars, Morris Oxfords and all those. And Mrs. Langdon, she was mayor at one time of the town, him and her. And they had three boys. There was Max. Max played the piano. Max could play anything. Max could play the piano. John played the drums, and Frank, he played the trumpet. Yeah. But Brian Bogue used to play no, he played the saxophone, Max. Brian played the trumpet. He was a hairdresser, and he worked for Ron McKnight. Now, Ron McKnight had a hairdressing shop just down from the old, hotel there, the one just opposite the law courts, along that street there, Lytton Street. He had a hairdresser, and old Ron used to be a barber, and Brian was him, and Brian used to play the trumpet. He's a blonde bloke, a good-looking bloke, Brian. He had plenty of girlfriends, I'll tell you. He died young, though, with a crook heart, Brian. Yeah, he married Grace. Her brother was a jet pilot in the commercial airlines. She's still living, Grace. We have a reunion every year, us boys, and there's only myself, Ian Robertson, he was best man at me ready, and Ken Brady, he's in Queensland. We were the only three left. Alf and the dog. Yeah, well, Alf was, that's all right, I can talk about that. Alf had a dog. He got up Murga Station, he's our boss. He owned the place, Alf, and he got him up at the Murga Station, and he was a Kelpie, and he brought him home. But the only trouble is he chased everything, cars, bikes, you name it.
He's still here.
Yeah. No, that's a, what's the name? I had one of those dogs, black and white one. Peter, I called him. Anyhow, Murga, he called him Murga after Murga Station. Anyhow, Alf would have him a frosty morning. We had the fire there for the Scotch ovens. You lit them up with 2-foot billets of wood. The flame went across and up and out the chimney. And then when it was finished, you raked up all the coals, pushed the flue in, then you got what they call a scuffle. Kerosene bucket of water, a sugar bag and a pole, a bush pole, and go around on the bricks and it'd clean up all the soot. Then you'd run the bread in on it, then the small goods. Yeah, on it. The bread especially, because that was baked on the bricks. And that's how they cleaned it. Yeah. But anyhow, this morning, the dog come in and Alfred got a bag and put him down in front of the thing about 6 o'clock. Murga's got to go to bye-bye. It's say to the dog. Anyhow, 9 o'clock one morning, walked the bloody health inspector. Dog's not supposed to be on the premises. So we had 2 billets of wood. Health grabbed one, he run at the dog, and he started hitting the dog in front of the health. He said, "Stray dog, Arthur," his name was. The bloody dog looked at him. He mastered. Went out the door with his tail between his legs. Old Arthur saying, "You can't have animals on the premises, Alf." Then Alf started talking to him about cricket, because all the Harrises played cricket, see. Take his mind off the job. Oh, yes, well, Albie used to do the gardening. I don't think he liked water much. I don't think, probably only washed about once every 6 months. But anyhow, he'd come into the bakery and he'd get a pasty off the tray as it come out of the oven and eat it. The smoke would be coming out of his bloody nose. Anyhow, he didn't like Jeff Hookie. Jeff Hookie was out of the police force then, but he had a piggery down at Campbell's Creek. And he used to pick up the scraps for his pigs, because you're not allowed to do that now. It's all been stopped. Anyhow, Albie, for some reason, didn't like Jeff Hookie, and he was in there one day eating his birthday. Hookie walked in to pick up the rubbish, and Albie looked blasted Hookie, and he run at him throwing punches. So Jeff, as an ex-policeman, so he just bent down, picked up a handful of soot and went like that in his eyes. Then he picked up the bloody the big tin of rubbish and dropped it on his toe. God, it was neat. Bloody police. Oh, Albie's hobbling around. Anyhow, it finished up, it come to a head because he was up the street. He used to sell a few houses for Jack Stewart, Jeff, when he retired, past his piggery and so forth. He was there trying to sell a house one day, and Albie rushed at him, throwing punches in the street. And he come back and went crook at me. He said, "You've been working him up against me," he said. He said, "I'm going to fix you." So anyhow, I got married, see. Anyhow, they were there all looking, and my friend was reading out the telegram, and he got this one, he looked at me. All I said, "Read it out." "You bugger, you beat me to Virginia. Signed, Albie Rice." Oh. They said, "Who's Albie Rice?" So they said, "He's the bugger picks up all the rubbish around town." He only washed once every 6 months. Oh, here's the glass shooter, Mrs. Rasmussen. She was a Beck. See, Beck's had the Imperial Hotel in Castlemaine. Then they went to Bendigo and Reg Beck took it on. And she, Mabel Beck, married Alf Rasmussen. And old Alec used to come down. We called him, he used to get old shotguns and do them up. And he'd say they were good killers. And he'd go out the bush and test them on galahs, which he shouldn't have been doing, because those days he never took much notice of it. But he'd shoot. But then he'd get paper at the back of the bakery, and he'd get it off Hilary. Well, Hilary was tight, and he'd give him a sheet of white paper, and he'd go bang with the gun and see what sort of a pattern it had. And anyhow, Hilary would rush out. He'd charge him a penny for the paper, and then rush out and reuse it again. Anyhow, Alec was out the bush one day shooting a glass, and you're getting through the fence. The gun went off and riddled Alf's bloody van with pellets. So they never took him out anymore. Too bloody dangerous. Jesus. We called him the Glass Shooter's March. Anyhow, Alf bought this Ford Custom Line car, and he put Alec in and gave him a ride. "What do you think of it, Alec?" He said, "You make a few bob and you want to spend it." Oh, God. He bought up. He started off, they told me, old Alec, out at Guildford as a blacksmith, shoeing horses. He worked hard in his day. The Glass Shooter's March, we called him. He was about 84 or something, 85. A tall, thin chap with a hat. "Come as you are, that's how I want you. Come as you are, feel quite at home. Close to my heart, loved and forgiven. Come as you are, why stand alone? No need to fear, love sets no limits. No need to fear, love never ends. Don't run away, shamed and disheartened. Rest in my love, trust me again. I came to call sinners, not just the virtuous. I came to bring peace, not to condemn. Each time you fail to live by my promise, why do you think I'd love you the less? Come as you are, that's how I love you. Come as you are, trust me again. Nothing can change the love that I bear you. All will be well, just come as you are. It's lovely, isn't it? Beautiful little songs. And they're beautiful love songs, eh? Well, I've got to go home and have some dinner. The bride will be waiting for me. Better not keep her waiting. But I always say if I'm late, if you love me, you'll wait.